The father installed a camera and discovered why his 14-year-old daughter was always exhausted. Hello everyone. Enjoy these relaxing moments while you watch. That winter in Los Angeles was bitterly cold. In the third-floor apartment of an old building, 45-year-old air conditioning technician Joseph Walker turned over on his creaky iron bed. He was startled awake by a dry, faint cough from the room next door. "Lucy," he called softly, but there was no reply. Lucy Walker, his 14-year-old daughter, had long dark hair, which she used to tie up neatly every morning for school, but now it was often a tangled mess. Her round, bright eyes, so much like her late mother Mary's, now always looked weary and full of gloom. Joseph opened the door and stepped in, seeing the girl curled up facing the wall. In the dim light spilling in from the hallway, her skin looked pale, almost gray. "You okay?" he asked gently, sitting down at the edge of her bed. Lucy just nodded without turning around. "I'm fine, Dad. Just tired from studying a lot." "What kind of studying makes your grades drop like this?" "I just checked your report book." Lucy remained still. "I'll try harder." Joseph sighed. For over a week now, he'd felt that something was wrong. She startled awake in the middle of the night, once even sitting up screaming and then calming herself down by clutching her head. Sometimes she said she was full after just a few bites. Her complexion was pale, lips dry and cracked, and that look in her eyes broke his heart every time he saw it. Ever since the car accident in 2020 that took Mary's life, Joseph had been both mother and father. He learned how to braid her hair, cook her favorite noodles, and button her shirts every morning before school. He once thought he was doing pretty well, but now everything felt like it was falling apart. The next morning, at a small bar in East LA, Joseph met up with Thomas, his best friend from trade school. "You've lost weight, Joseph," Thomas noted, pouring coffee. "Still losing sleep over work?" Because of Lucy, Joseph rested his head in his hand. "She's changed, like she's someone else." Thomas frowned. "Did she say anything?" "She just says it's from studying too much. But I don't buy it. I saw bruises on her wrist once. When I asked, she just laughed and shook her head. It's impossible." "You think she's being abused?" "I don't know." Joseph stared at his coffee without drinking. "All I know is I'm scared." "Really scared?" Thomas was silent, then leaned toward Joseph and said in a low voice, "If you're really that worried, install cameras. I know a guy, Michael. He does security systems for offices. You just need one in the hallway and one in her room somewhere discreet." "You mean spy on her?" "Not to control her, to protect her. You know how unsafe LA is these days." That night, after Lucy left for tutoring and hadn't come home yet, Joseph took the camera kit that Michael had personally delivered. Carefully, he installed one camera high up in the hallway leading to her room and another hidden inside a light fixture above her bed. He didn't feel guilty. He no longer felt ashamed for invading his daughter's privacy. What he felt instead was a rising panic, like a tide crushing his chest. Around 1 a.m., he was still awake. Lucy had come home, eaten a cold dinner in silence as usual, and gone into her room, closing the door without a word. At 2:10 a.m., Joseph jolted awake from a faint noise. He stepped into the hallway, empty. Lucy's door was closed. Pressing his ear to it, he could hear a faint clicking, like the sound of a window latch. He went back and opened the monitoring app on his phone. The black and white footage loaded. Lucy, dressed in a black hoodie, her hair tied back, quietly opening the window and stepping out onto the balcony. He checked the time, 1:48 a.m. "Oh, God," he whispered, clenching his fists. A few minutes later, a figure in a black jacket and motorcycle helmet appeared, waiting next to a motorbike. Lucy ran over, climbed on the back, and the two disappeared into the night. Joseph couldn't breathe. He collapsed onto the floor, hands trembling. The next morning, when Lucy returned home close to 5 a.m., he pretended to be asleep. Inside, his mind swirled with questions. Who was that man? Where did she go? What was she doing? Why were her wrists bruised? Why did her eyes look so hopeless? He reviewed the camera data again. Over the past 30 days, the same behavior had repeated 22 times. That evening, Joseph sat across from Lucy at dinner. "Where did you go at 1:48 a.m. last night?" Lucy looked up, startled. "Dad, what are you talking about? I saw you climb out the window. I installed a camera." She dropped her chopsticks, face pale. You were spying on me?" "Yes, because I'm scared. I already lost your mother. I don't want to lose you, too." Lucy burst into tears but still said nothing. She only covered her face and shook her head. "She's going through something," said Mr. Raymond, the downstairs neighbor and a retired security guard, after Joseph briefly explained the situation. "I've seen her coming home late, eyes all red, walking unsteadily." Joseph was silent. Raymond sighed. "But listen, don't push too hard. The girl's already hurting." That night, Joseph lay next to his phone, eyes wide open, heart like a stormy sea. Part of him wanted to break down Lucy's door and demand answers, but another, stronger part warned, "If you do this wrong, you'll lose her forever." 2 days later, while Lucy was at school, Joseph sat in the living room, eyes fixed on his laptop. He opened each saved video clip, hands trembling. Timestamp, 1:48 a.m. Lucy once again slipped out the window, wearing her black jacket. A man in a face mask waited beside the motorcycle. She climbed on, hugged him, and the two vanished into the LA darkness. Joseph muttered through gritted teeth, "Who the hell is that?" He fast-forwarded. At 4:27 a.m., the motorcycle returned. Lucy staggered off, bracing herself against the wall. A deep purple bruise was visible on her left wrist. She unlocked the balcony door, entered her room, and collapsed on the floor before crawling into bed. Joseph froze. The images felt like a dagger through his heart. No way. She's only 14. He opened the past month's folder. Every single time Lucy had snuck out between 1:30 and 2 a.m. matched perfectly. Total, 22 times. Unable to take it anymore, Joseph stood up and slammed his hand on the table. He grabbed his phone and called, "Thomas, it's me. I need your help again. I have to find out who that guy is. I need to know everything." "Calm down. What's going on? What happened?" "She's not just sneaking out. Someone's taking her. And when she comes back, she's covered in bruises. I have video. I need the truth, Thomas." All right. Listen. I know Lewis, a private investigator, used to be a cop. I'll get you his number. But Joseph, don't do anything reckless, okay? I can't sit here while someone might be hurting my daughter. That evening, when Lucy came home, Joseph tried to keep his tone neutral. "Did you eat dinner yet?" "Yeah, I had a sandwich at school. How about I take you to school tomorrow?" Lucy shook her head. "No need. I'm going with a friend." "Which friend?" She paused. Laura, my math classmate." Joseph nodded but didn't take his eyes off her face. That night, he reviewed another video. In one, Lucy sat on her bed, opened her phone, and listened to a voice message through headphones. He couldn't hear what was said, but afterward, Lucy buried her face in a pillow and cried quietly. He stared at the screen, lips pressed so tight they bled. The next morning, Joseph met Lewis, the private investigator Thomas had recommended, at a cafe in East Hollywood. Lewis was around 50, lean, with a cold, stony face. "You said you had a video. Show me." Joseph opened his laptop. Lewis watched the clip of Lucy sneaking out, getting on the motorbike, and returning with bruises. After 5 minutes, he nodded. Enough to raise suspicion. "I'll start tracking the bike's route if you can give me footage of the area beneath the balcony." "I have it all." "What else do you need?" "What I need is a name, a face, and common locations. Once I have that, I'll let you know what your daughter's getting dragged into. How long? Give me a week. But Joseph, Louis looked him dead in the eyes. If the truth is worse than you expect, are you ready to face it? Joseph clenched his fists. I lost my wife. I can't lose my daughter, too. 3 days later, Louis called, urgency in his voice. You free? Come with me tonight. I followed them 3 nights. But you need to be prepared. That night, the two wore face masks and baseball caps, quietly tailing the black motorbike with LA plate 325 GXC. The bike stopped in front of a small bar with a red sign, the Red Garden Bar. Louis whispered, this place is known for middle-aged men. There's a checkpoint at the entrance. I'll come in after you. Pretend I'm a regular. Just go in naturally. Don't raise suspicion. Joseph swallowed hard. He stepped through the red wooden door, greeted by flickering yellow lights and the heavy stench of booze and smoke. A large, balding man in his 40s looked at him. Got an appointment? James sent me. Said this place had a good vibe. The man eyed him for a moment, then nodded. Sit over there. Joseph walked in quietly. Inside, loud music throbbed under garish lights. Young girls in skimpy uniforms moved from table to table, pouring drinks and offering forced smiles. And then he saw Lucy. She kept her head down, holding a bottle of liquor, pouring a drink for a middle-aged man whose red face and slurred words made Joseph's blood run cold. Come on, sweetheart. Give me a smile. Who taught you to frown like that? Lucy looked nervous and took a step back. The man burst out laughing and yanked Lucy's sleeve hard. Startled, she dropped the bottle of liquor. The loud shattering sound froze the whole room for a few seconds. Immediately, a fat bald man in a white dress shirt stormed out from behind the bar and rushed over to Lucy. What the hell was that? He shouted. Lucy bowed her head. I'm sorry, Lawrence. Another girl whispered in Joseph's ear as she walked past him, that's the manager here. Mess with him and you won't make it out alive. Lawrence glared at Joseph, as if sensing his stare. He marched over and stood between Lucy and Joseph, narrowing his eyes. New here? You look familiar. I was just checking the place out. Seems lively, Joseph said, trying to stay calm. If you're just looking, be careful where your eyes go. This is a discreet place. We don't like people staring. Lawrence sneered, then turned away. Lucy was pulled backstage by another girl. Before disappearing, she caught sight of Joseph. Her expression was a mixture of shock, fear, and heartbreak. Joseph turned his face away, hands clenched so tight his nails broke the skin on his palms. Louis approached from another corner, pretending to order a beer. Get out. Don't let him remember your face. Outside, Joseph leaned against the wall, face pale. Louis took a drag from his cigarette, staying silent. Finally, he spoke. You understand now, don't you? She didn't go there on her own. But if this gets investigated, he'll claim your daughter consented. Current laws don't protect 14-year-olds unless there's clear evidence of coercion. Joseph closed his eyes and whispered, I have to save my daughter, whatever it takes. 2 days later, Joseph didn't go to work. He called in sick for his maintenance shift at St. Mary's Medical Center. In truth, he hadn't slept the entire night. The same images kept replaying in his mind, Lucy's frightened eyes, her bruised hand, Lawrence's threats, and the horrifying truth, his daughter was serving drinks to grown men in a secret bar. He sat in the tiny kitchen and played the video again. Every time he watched, it felt like his insides were being clawed apart. Lucy never deserved any of this. At exactly 12:45 a.m., he put on his old jacket, a baseball cap, and a mask. He slipped a mini chest-mounted camera provided by Louis into his shirt. He also brought a small knife, not to use, but to remind himself. This time, there was no backing down. On his phone screen, he monitored Lucy as she prepared to leave her room. At 1:41 a.m., she climbed out the window again and descended quietly. Joseph stood under the stairwell of the apartment building, heart pounding. The same masked young man picked Lucy up on that familiar motorcycle. Damn it, it's him, Joseph growled. He quietly followed by taking the night bus. With Louis tracking GPS, he knew the usual route the motorcycle took. It would soon veer into East Hollywood, where dozens of front bars disguised illegal operations all night long. At 2:12 a.m., Joseph stood across the street from the Red Garden Bar, red neon light glowing dimly from the sign. He muttered, just once. I only need to witness it once. When he stepped inside, loud music immediately slammed into his ears. The air reeked of smoke and cheap wine. The room was dark, with only a few tables still occupied. Young girls in short red skirts and white tops moved about like sad puppets. Lucy stood by the bar counter. Her face was bare, her eyes lifeless. A man around 50 sat beside her, holding a glass of wine, talking and chuckling. Come on, sweetheart. Don't frown like that. Give me a smile and I'll tip you $5. Lucy held the bottle and poured him a drink, eyes averted. The man placed his hand on her waist. Lucy flinched slightly. Heard you're new here. New girls are always the tastiest. A soft clinking sound. Joseph clenched his fists, his eyes blazing with rage. A girl around 16 with curled reddish-brown hair approached Joseph. First time here? She asked. I'm Martha. Yeah, first time. Want to pick someone? I can take you to a private booth. Joseph gritted his teeth. The girl in the corner. What's her name? Martha glanced over, then shook her head. Don't get involved with her. Lawrence locked her up all night yesterday for refusing a client. What? Martha leaned in closer and whispered, her name's Lucy. Looks young but tough. Still, after enough threats, she's as tame as a puppy. Threats? Manager installs cameras, records them serving clients, then threatens to leak the footage online. Happens to all of them. Joseph's world spun. He turned to approach Lucy, but Lawrence appeared out of nowhere, blocking his path with a sneer. Always interested in that one, huh? Is there a problem? No, she just looked familiar. Nothing's familiar here. Only one rule. No questions, no staring, no touching unless you pay. Joseph swallowed hard and stepped back. He forced himself to stay composed. He needed patience. He had to capture this. At 2:43 a.m., a salt-and-pepper-haired man in a suit walked in. He nodded at Lawrence, then pointed to Lucy. Lucy stepped forward, forcing a smile as she poured him a drink. But when he whispered in her ear, her face went pale, and she instinctively stepped back. I already paid. Don't want to do it? I'll call Lawrence. Lucy trembled, her voice barely audible. Please don't. I only serve drinks. You don't make the rules here. He yanked her to sit beside him. His hand crept up her thigh. Joseph stood from his seat, gripping the chest camera tightly. He staggered out of the bar, gasping for air. A male server in his 30s passed by. Seeing Joseph stumble, he asked, Need some water? Joseph steadied himself. Let me ask you something. Is this place licensed? The man looked at him and snorted. Licenses here are for wiping your mouth. Joseph exited the Red Garden Bar like a man drowning. Outside, a light drizzle fell. Louis was already waiting in the car, door open. You get it on camera? Yes. Clear face, clear audio. Good. But don't take it to the cops yet. If Lawrence has connections, they'll bury the evidence. Joseph said nothing. His teeth clenched. His lips bled. I have to save my daughter. Even if it kills me. The next morning, as Lucy sat eating breakfast, she said nothing. Joseph kept his tone natural. Did you sleep well last night? It was okay, Lucy replied, staring into her watery porridge. I've got a late shift tonight. New company's AC system. I'll be back late. Lucy nodded. No questions. As she walked to her room, Joseph heard the lock click. He turned to Thomas standing in the hallway, his face tense. Look at me, Joseph. This isn't just your private matter anymore. I know. You need the press. Someone credible. Cops won't act. Without public pressure, no one cares about exploited kids. You know anyone trustworthy? Thomas was quiet for a moment, then said, Claire Morgan. Investigative reporter for El Dario. She's the one who exposed that underage bar ring in El Paso. Brought down the whole network. Joseph nodded. Give me her number. He clenched his fist. And his mind echoed Lucy's voice from long ago, her innocent laugh on a spring afternoon. Daddy, you know what? I want to be an artist. I want to paint the whole world. Now, she didn't even dare to draw herself. The next afternoon, Joseph sat at Sunlight Alley Cafe in Boyle Heights, where he'd arranged to meet Louis. On the table was a brown envelope with the dossier the detective had compiled over days of surveillance and investigation. Louis slid the envelope across the table, eyes fixed on his coffee. His name is Evan Grant. 19. Dropped out at 16. Was arrested once for luring a 13-year-old in Tucson. Got off because his family hired a lawyer who suppressed the evidence. But his reputation is trash. Joseph opened the file, hands trembling. Blurry printed photos appeared, Evan, with long brown hair, wearing earrings, a cunning look on his face as he stood near Union Station, where many students passed by. Louis continued, he approached Lucy right at exit 4. His usual trick? Pretends to drop sheet music, acts like a struggling artist who had to quit violin to care for his sick mother. Joseph exhaled sharply, his voice bitter. The classic pity ploy. Louis nodded. I have audio of him talking sweet to another girl, all fake charm, then gradually sinking her into this special Bond fantasy. Once Lucy trusted him, he spun a tale about being $10,000 in debt and said he'd be beaten to death if he didn't pay. Joseph gripped the file tightly. And my daughter thinks she's saving her boyfriend. Louis placed a hand on his shoulder and spoke quietly. He's a parasite. Preys on girls without fathers, mothers, or those who've been through trauma. Your daughter lost her mom, and she's sensitive. He saw an opportunity. Joseph growled, if I get my hands on him, Louis cut him off. Killing him is easy. But Lucy would lose everything. Instead, you need evidence. A solid plan. At night, Joseph sat alone in his room, the glow of his phone screen casting shadows across his gaunt face. He opened the audio recording Louis had given him. Lucy, I'm sorry, but if I don't have the money, they'll kill me. You don't get it. You still live with your dad. But me, you're all I've got. I'll do anything. I don't want to lose you. There's this place. It's easy work. Just serving drinks, listening to music. You could really help me. Just a few weeks. Joseph closed his eyes. His daughter's voice in the recording was as fragile as a leaf. I trust you. I'll try. Something shattered inside his chest. He felt himself dying in pieces. The next day, Thomas showed up at Joseph's place holding a newspaper. Did you see this? Thomas slammed the paper on the table. Evan was tied to an underground music station in downtown L.A. The cops busted one, but he walked because of lack of evidence. He's a damn snake. Joseph growled through his teeth. I want him on video. I want him on tape accepting money. I'll bait him myself. Thomas hesitated. Are you sure this isn't too dangerous? Dangerous is letting her keep going back there. Dangerous is waking up every day not knowing if my daughter's still alive. That night, Joseph left the house in a different outfit. He wore a long coat, glasses, and had a mini camera pinned to his shirt button. Louis had positioned a surveillance car near the Red Garden bar. Inside the bar, Evan was chatting and laughing with Lawrence at the counter. He wore a leather jacket, smoking a cigarette, cocky and arrogant. Joseph sat at a nearby table and placed a recording device on the chair next to him. "You said that girl's real obedient?" Lawrence asked, glancing around. "Piece of cake. She cried last night when I told her I might quit. Think about it. A lovesick little girl. There's nothing easier to control." Lawrence scoffed and pulled out an envelope. "For you. But remember, don't let her talk. If the press shows up, I'll wipe everything and pin it all on you. Relax, I told her I owe the mafia. She's terrified they'll kill me." Joseph's hands trembled around his glass, fury coursing through him. A server named Samuel, a Colombian Joseph had seen the night before, passed by and whispered, "Be careful. Lawrence has someone watching the entrance. Anyone suspicious disappears." Joseph nodded slightly. "Thank you. I'll be careful." "You're her father, aren't you?" Samuel asked, voice trembling. "Yes. My sister was tricked by someone like Evan. She nearly killed herself. If you need a witness, I'll testify." Joseph was overcome. He nodded. "What's your name?" "Samuel Morgan." "My sister is Paige. I'll help." On the way home, Joseph listened to the recording again. Evan's and Lawrence's voices echoed in the darkness. That casual tone, that shamelessness, that pleasure in a child's suffering made Joseph's blood run cold. When he got home, Lucy was already asleep. Joseph stood silently outside her door. Through the crack, he could see her curled up, hugging a pillow, eyes tightly shut. Her school books lay open on the desk, handwriting trailing off mid-sentence. He whispered through clenched teeth, "I will save you. Even if I have to burn those devils to the ground." The next morning, Joseph met with Lewis again and handed over all the newly recorded data. Lewis reviewed it and muttered, "That's enough. We have an indirect confession, footage of him taking money, and a potential witness. So what now? We can't go straight to court. The cops will bury it. We need the press. We need to go public, loud enough that they can't ignore it." "Claire Morgan?" "Yes. I contacted her. She agreed to meet you tomorrow night." Joseph nodded. The fire in his eyes wasn't hope. It was a storm ready to erupt. That afternoon, when Lucy got home from school, Joseph was already waiting at the door. His face showed no anger, no interrogation, just a quiet stillness, like a lake before a thunderstorm. Lucy took off her shoes, hung her backpack, and walked silently to the kitchen. "Have you eaten?" Joseph asked, pouring water. "No, sir." Her voice was hoarse and tired. He placed a glass in front of her and sat down. "Can you be honest with me?" Lucy froze. "About what?" "I know you didn't go there willingly." Lucy stared at the table. "I know Lawrence has cameras. I know they used the footage to threaten you. I know you're scared." She began to tremble, lips pressed tight. Moments later, the tears came, and her voice cracked. If they released that video, I wouldn't survive." "When did they film it?" The first night. I thought I was just pouring drinks, but a man touched me. I tried to push him away. Then I was dragged into a room. I don't remember everything, just red lights and a camera." Joseph clenched his fists until his knuckles turned white. "They did that to a 14-year-old girl. Lawrence said if I talked, the video would go to school, go online. Mom would be ashamed if she were alive. You'd lose your job. They'd kill both of us. No one has the right to destroy you like that, Lucy." Lucy buried her face in her hands, sobbing. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to help Evan. I was stupid." Joseph pulled her into his arms. He said nothing. His throat burned, but his heart felt frozen. The next morning, he met with Lewis, bringing a USB drive containing the clearest security clips showing Lucy leaving home at night and returning with bruises. "What are you planning to do?" Louis asked, holding a cup of strong black coffee. Give it to the police. Louis frowned. I warned you, without public pressure, the police won't act. I have to try. If they ignore it, at least I'll have a reason to expose them later. The local police station was on Jefferson Avenue. The officer on duty was a young woman named Teresa Reed, around 30, dressed neatly in uniform with the calm air of an administrative worker. What crime are you reporting? She asked after skimming the initial report. Minor exploitation, blackmail via recording, forced labor. Teresa nodded, typing. Victim's name? Lucy Walker, 14. My daughter. Name of the suspects? Lawrence, owner of the Red Garden Bar, and Evan Grant, the one who lured her in. Teresa paused. Lucy lives with you? Yes. Has she clearly stated she was forced? Joseph clenched his fists. She's traumatized, but I have video, her sneaking out at night, returning bruised and terrified. He handed her the USB. Teresa plugged it in, scrubbed through the footage, then shook her head. Mr. Walker, under U.S. law, from the age of 14, unless there's clear evidence of coercion, we can't prosecute for exploitation. What? Isn't this enough? A video showing her bruised, sneaking off at night with a man who has a record of luring minors? I understand your concern, but there's no explicit criminal act on camera. The girl hasn't made a formal accusation. No footage of coercion or evidence of the blackmail you described. He threatened to leak the video. If my daughter speaks out, they'll destroy her. Teresa shrugged. We can't act on assumptions. If you have the actual footage Lawrence recorded, submit it. I don't have that. Lawrence has it. He's using it to blackmail my daughter. Then I'm sorry. We can't open an investigation based on indirect statements. Joseph shot to his feet, his voice low and shaking. So, if a child is secretly filmed being abused, the police just wait until it's posted online before acting? Teresa replied coldly, I'm following protocol. If you gather more evidence, come back. Louis pulled Joseph outside. As the door closed behind them, Joseph punched the wall hard. Bastards wearing uniforms just to quote regulations like robots. Louis sighed. I told you, they won't lift a finger without public pressure. This system exists to protect the powerful and to break parents like you. I won't sit quietly. That night, Joseph returned home and found Lucy curled in the corner of her room, hugging her pillow, eyes blank. He sat down beside her. I'm sorry. I went to the police. Lucy didn't react. They refused. Said you consented? Said there's not enough evidence. That a 14-year-old doesn't deserve protection unless she cries for help. A tear slid down Lucy's cheek. So I'm the one at fault. No, you're a victim. You're my daughter. Lucy whispered, Dad, if I didn't exist, things would be easier. Joseph gasped, pulling her into a tight embrace. Don't say that. Never. You're the reason I'm still breathing. Lucy murmured, You'll hate me if you know what I've done. No, I only hate those who made you suffer. That night, after Lucy fell asleep, Joseph sat at his desk, going over every clip, every audio, every note. He began crafting a plan in his mind. The police won't act, then he would, with everything he had left. That night, a light rain fell over Los Angeles, bringing with it a chilling dampness that seeped through every crack in doorframe. The clock read 2:17 a.m. Joseph couldn't sleep. He sat in the living room replaying dozens of saved videos. His eyes were bloodshot, burning. Each time he saw Lucy silently leave the house in the dead of night, his heart shattered all over again. Suddenly, the sound of running water came from the bathroom. It wasn't loud, but it was unusual. Joseph frowned. Lucy never showered at this hour. He stood up and hurried toward the partially ajar door. Pale light spilled from the bathroom. When he pushed it open, the scene before him knocked the breath from his lungs. Lucy was sitting on the floor, leaning against the sink. Her clothes were soaked, her long hair plastered to her face. The faucet still ran, water mixing with the blood smeared across the tile floor. Her left wrist was bleeding, deep, fresh, and wide. "Lucy!" Joseph screamed, rushing forward to hold her. Lucy opened her eyes slightly, whispering, "I'm sorry. If you knew what I've done, you'd hate me." "No. Never." Joseph grabbed a towel, pressing it tightly to her wound, his hands trembling. "Don't say that. You've done nothing wrong. Nothing at all." He scooped Lucy up in his arms, her blood staining his sleeves. He ran, shouting, "Help! Someone help me! Call an ambulance! Please!" Downstairs, Mr. Raymond, the neighbor, heard the commotion and opened his door, alarmed. "Dear God, what happened to the girl? She tried to kill herself. I need to get her to the hospital now." Raymond threw on a coat. "My car's in the garage. Go." In the car, Joseph held Lucy tightly, whispering over and over, "You'll be okay. You'll be okay. I'm here." St. Vincent Medical Center glowed through the rain. As the doctors wheeled Lucy into emergency care, Joseph was stopped in the hallway. He stood frozen, covered in blood, staring at the closed doors. A middle-aged woman with her hair tied back stepped out. Her name tag read Dr. Helen Monroe. "Are you the father of Lucy Walker?" "Yes." Is she okay?" "We've stopped the bleeding. The cut was deep, but not life-threatening. However, we suspect this wasn't her first attempt." "What do you mean?" "We found older scratches on her right wrist, likely from sharp objects. Her mental state is extremely fragile. I recommend we transfer Lucy to the pediatric psych ward for observation." Joseph nodded like a machine. "Do whatever she needs, please." Shortly after, a psychologist arrived to speak with Joseph. She was in her 40s, her voice calm but firm. Her name was Isabel Roberts. "Mr. Walker, I'll need to speak with Lucy privately later. But first, do you suspect she's been abused?" "Not at home. But out there are people who've destroyed her." Joseph recounted everything. His voice broke. His hands trembled. Isabel didn't interrupt. She simply listened. When he finished, she nodded. "I believe you, and I'll write a full report. But without legal action to support it, those people will walk free. So what do I do?" "Document it. Every threat, every payment, every word. Then go public. Bring in the press. When public pressure is loud enough, the law finally listens." That evening, Lucy woke up. Her eyes barely opened, hazy and tired. Joseph sat beside her bed, holding her hand. "I'm here. Can you hear me, sweetheart?" Lucy gave a faint nod. "Why, baby? Why did you do it?" "I was tired. I couldn't take it anymore. Every time I open my eyes, I'm scared. Every time I go to school, I feel ashamed. I'm scared people will find out. No one has the right to make you feel dirty. You didn't do anything wrong. The people who hurt you are the ones who should be ashamed. You won't leave me, will you?" Joseph squeezed her hand. "I already lost your mother. I swear I won't lose you, too." The next day, Joseph went to a pharmacy near the hospital to look for hidden recording equipment. The man behind the counter, wearing glasses, was named Victor Nelson. After hearing a brief explanation, he pulled out a small pouch. "This is a button camera. HD, records to a memory card. Built-in mic. Can record for up to 3 hours. I'll take 2. What are you planning to do?" "I'm going to confront Lawrence. I'm going to record everything, every threat, every payment. I won't let my daughter die for nothing." Victor looked at him for a moment and said softly, "I had a sister who died from something similar. If you need anything else, come to me." That night, Joseph cut and sewed the cameras into 2 buttons on his shirt. He practiced speaking, adjusted the angles, tested the audio. All the while, the image of Lucy on the bathroom floor haunted him, blood and water spreading like a wound that wouldn't heal. Louis called. "You sure you want to go through with this?" "I don't have a choice." "Be careful. Lawrence has eyes everywhere. If he suspects you, then at least I'll die as a father who didn't back down." Louis paused. "I'll wait outside. Any signal, I'm coming in." 2 a.m. The Red Garden bar was still lit. Joseph entered like any other customer. Lawrence sat at the bar, laughing with a blond man beside him. Joseph took a nearby table and pressed the record button. A battle for life had begun. The bar was still crowded. The music pounded. Red lights flickered. Faces drifted in smoke, empty, tired, haunted. Joseph sat still, his hidden camera rolling, eyes scanning like a hunter watching prey. 2:11 a.m. Lawrence emerged from the back room, holding an envelope, his eyes icy. Evan was already at the bar, swirling a glass of cheap wine, smirking. Joseph quietly hit the audio recorder again. The camera had been rolling for 40 minutes. Battery still had 1 hour left. Lawrence placed the envelope on the table, his voice low but clear. 15 shifts, right?" Evan laughed. "Missing 2, but I added extra." "She's been obedient." "She really has." Lawrence sneered. "Old man last night was thrilled. She didn't even dare cry. I gave her one threat. Now she's like a puppy." "You still have the first clip?" "Of course. I've got several clips of her shaking when the guy touched her leg. Every second of it." Joseph clenched his jaw so tightly it spasmed. His hand gripped the table's edge. Lawrence glanced around and muttered, "But careful. That kid's close to breaking. I saw her crying in the bathroom last night. If she breaks, I'll wipe everything. I'll disappear from L.A. What about you?" "I've got insurance. If anyone squeals, their whole family becomes tabloid fodder. I can even fake it, say she sent the videos herself. People will believe it instantly." Joseph trembled. That last line was the bullet that shattered the last shred of his patience. He stood, gave a subtle nod to Louis, seated in the far corner, pretending to be a customer. Louis took out his phone and typed a message. Just then, Lucy emerged from the back, a tray of drinks trembling in her hands. A pot-bellied man at table 5 waved her over. "Hey, baby, come here. Show me a smile." Lucy forced a smile, but it was crooked, painful. The man pulled her into his lap. She froze, looking around, eyes pleading in silence. Joseph pulled out his phone and pretended to call someone. "Yeah, I'm outside now. Meet me at the car." He walked out quickly. Louis followed a moment later, nodding. "We got it. Clear video. Clean audio. I have to send it to Claire. We can't wait any longer." The next morning, Joseph put on a gray coat and went to the Independent Tribune headquarters. He met Claire Morgan, the renowned investigative journalist who had once shaken the entire El Paso administration by exposing an underage prostitution ring. Claire was about 40, short hair, sharp eyes. As they shook hands, she said, "You're Joseph Walker." "Lucy's father?" "Yes, and I'm ready to give you everything." Joseph placed 3 USB drives on the table, printed photos from the camera, notes on every conversation, and a detailed report. Claire opened her laptop, plugged in a USB, and watched the first clip. In less than 2 minutes, her brow furrowed. "This is Lawrence's confession. And footage of Evan accepting money. You've got voice, faces, time, place. I need you to publish it as soon as possible. You know how dangerous this is, right? I don't care about safety. I care about keeping my daughter alive." Claire nodded. "I'll speak to editorial tonight. The article will go out in Monday's morning edition. But there will be pushback. They'll try to suppress it. Deny everything. Sue us. You need to be prepared." If needed, we'll hide your identity and Lucy's. No. I want people to know. I'm her father, and I won't let my daughter be discarded. Claire looked at Joseph for a long moment. Then she said gently, you know, some people never speak up their entire lives. But you, in just a few days, you've made the whole system tremble. I don't want them to tremble. I want them to fall. On the way home, Joseph stopped by the hospital. Lucy was sitting up, sketching in her notebook. When she saw him, she bit her lip and looked away. Joseph sat beside her and took her hand. I submitted all the evidence. The article will go out Monday morning. Lucy gripped her notebook tightly, her voice barely a whisper. They'll find out. Will they punish those people? Yes, but what matters most is that you're alive, that you're human. Tears streamed down Lucy's cheeks. I'm sorry. Don't. You have nothing to be sorry for. Monday. On the front page of major U.S. newspapers, father exposes underage exploitation ring in Los Angeles. Suspect identities revealed. The police could no longer ignore it. Under the pressure of public outcry and the media, an official investigation was reopened within 24 hours. The hidden camera footage was reviewed and verified. The court issued emergency arrest warrants for Lawrence Martin and Evan Grant, charging them with organizing the exploitation of minors, blackmail via recorded footage, and witness intimidation. The Red Garden Bar was shut down. During a nighttime raid, police discovered 14 girls under the age of 17 forced to work under inhumane conditions. As cold handcuffs clicked shut on Lawrence's wrists, he turned and shouted at the crowd of journalists, I have people backing me. You'll all regret this. A police officer, Officer Teresa Reed, the same one who had previously dismissed Joseph's report, responded sternly, this time, it's all out in the open. You'll be the one regretting it. 3 months after the exposure of the Red Garden Bar case, spring quietly arrived in Los Angeles, bringing soft sunshine and gentle breezes. Joseph took Lucy away from the city, away from the smoke, the traffic, and the dark memories that lingered on every corner. They moved to a small village called Pine Valley, about 60 miles from the capital. A place with clean air, birdsong every morning, and red dirt paths winding through olive fields. Joseph sold all his old tools, leaving behind his air conditioning repair career after more than 20 years. The modest amount of money he earned from selling his equipment, combined with a support grant from a child protection organization, was just enough for him and Lucy to live simply in a humble rented house with a red-tiled roof and windows that looked out toward the San Gabriel Mountains. That morning, Lucy sat on the porch holding a blank sketchbook. At 14, she was thinner than before, but her eyes were different, no longer filled with fear. Now, they held a quiet calm, signs of healing. Joseph brought out 2 cups of hot cocoa. What special dish are we cooking today? He asked with a soft smile. Lucy looked up, her lips curling gently. Yesterday you said stir-fried chicken with mushrooms. But you said the same thing the day before. Well, I'm still training. Got to get it right eventually. Lucy giggled, a sound Joseph once thought he'd never hear again. Dad? Yes, sweetheart? Did you really quit being a repairman? Yep. I quit. Now I'm a full-time chef and part-time mailman for the village. Lucy rested her head on her knees, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry for making you give up so much. Joseph placed his hand gently on her shoulder. You didn't make me do anything. I chose this. I did it willingly. And if I had to start over, I'd choose it all again. One afternoon, Lucy walked over to her father while he was pulling weeds in the small backyard garden. Dad, I drew something again. Joseph wiped his hands on his pants and took the sketchbook from her. On the first page was a black and white pencil drawing, a little girl sitting curled up in the rain, her hair soaked, her eyes downcast. Above her stood a middle-aged man, slightly hunched, holding an umbrella over her. The rain no longer touched her. At the bottom, Lucy had written in small italic letters, "Thank you for not giving up on me." Joseph stared at it for a long time. His eyes turned red, but no words came out. Lucy lowered her head. "It's not that good." "No," he said, "it's beautiful. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I just wanted you to know. I'm grateful." Joseph nodded softly, his voice trembling. "And you should know something, too. From now on, whenever it rains, I'll always run toward you with an umbrella. No matter where you are." A week later, they received a letter from Claire Morgan, the journalist who had helped bring the case to light. In it, she wrote, "Dear Mr. Walker, the investigation is ongoing. Lawrence and Evan are currently being held awaiting trial. The footage you provided has become key evidence that helped rescue 14 girls, including Paige, the sister of Samuel, the man who offered to testify. I just wanted you to know, lives were saved because you didn't give up." Lucy read it in silence, then whispered, "Dad? Yeah? Is it true that many people were saved?" "Yes. And one of them is you." Lucy closed her eyes. A tear rolled down her cheek. No sobbing, no shaking, just a single clear drop, like spring rain falling softly on an old tile roof. A few weeks later, Dr. Isabel Roberts came to visit. She had been monitoring Lucy since her admission to the psychiatric unit. "She's making great progress," Isabel told Joseph after their session. "There are still deep wounds, but she's no longer avoiding things like before. And more importantly, she's started telling stories." Joseph blinked. "Stories?" "About her mother, about school, about the afternoons the two of you used to eat ice cream at Echo Park. And today, she talked about her dream of becoming an artist." Joseph smiled. "She used to say that. But it all got crushed by the hands of those monsters." "No, not crushed," Isabel said softly. "Just folded for a while. And now it's starting to unfold again." Lucy came out into the backyard and saw Isabel taking photos of a lavender bush. "Ms. Isabel?" "Yes, sweetie? I finished my drawing. Want to see it?" Isabel smiled. "I'd love to." Lucy opened her sketchbook and turned to a new page, a sunlit field, a small house with green climbing vines, and two figures standing in the garden, a father and a girl. Their hands weren't touching, but their shadows on the ground were. That evening, Joseph and Lucy walked together along the village path. The olive trees rustled in the wind. In the distance, goats grazed while bells clinked gently. "Dad? Do you regret leaving everything behind in Los Angeles?" Joseph looked up at the sky, where sunlight streamed through the leaves in golden beams. "I didn't leave anything behind. I brought the only thing that mattered." "What's that?" "You." Lucy held her father's hand tightly and said nothing more. But that silence said everything. In their small room at the end of the day, Joseph carefully taped the umbrella drawing to the wall with 4 small pieces of tape. He didn't need a frame. That drawing didn't need to be fancy, it only needed to be placed in the most sacred corner of his heart. Under the desk lamp, the small sentence glowed quietly, "Thank you for not giving up on me." The story of Joseph and Lucy reminds us that when adults stay silent, evil grows. But if even just one father refuses to give up, a single light can pierce through the darkest night. Perseverance, love, and courage are the most powerful weapons we have to protect children who have no voice. The legal system may be slow, but once the truth is exposed, it creates a wave no one can stop. Never give up, because someone out there still needs you to stand up for them. If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.